2025 is just around the corner, and what we're seeing here managing $1.65 billion of portfolio across our agencies, meaning product sales and business sales and service sales, is that the current trends that we're seeing in 2024 are not going to be the same in 2025. First off, marketing spend is going to be lower. Generally speaking, we see that the demand, the capacity is going to be lower from what we've seen when projecting 2022 to 2023 and onward. So we definitely see that there's going to be some turbulence out there. So with that in mind, we see that the entire marketing roadmap is going to change. And today I'm going to discuss the 9 core marketing trends in B2B digital marketing that we're seeing that are going to make a difference this year compared to last one. So let's start with number 1. The first biggest change is focusing on the audience and not on the product. You may have seen the difference between features and benefits between products and the outcome of the products. But today, what we are definitely seeing is that audience is the biggest key pillar in the ecosystem of B2B marketing. And if I go back about 15 years ago, what we see is that first off, R&D investments and investments in technology, especially around the dot-com boom 25 years ago, and afterwards the evolution of technology and digital systems and software as a service and everything else, what we saw is that technology was the key pivot and the leading indicator over the past 25 years. However, afterwards, we saw the transition to marketing, which means going to performance-based marketing, email marketing, different segments and pillars, from SEO to paid ads to email to everything else, influencer marketing, meant that marketing is kind of the key pillar to develop attention and to kind of build an audience. However, what we see right now is that first off, products are easier to build than ever with MVP tools, with no code, with app builders, and also marketing is really accessible and it's really easy. There are tons of different tutorials, tons of different guides, lots of people doing freelance marketing at scale, which is the reason why building an audience is the most important thing ever, which again results in the fact that focusing on the audience is far more important as compared to just building a marketing campaign or building on the product quality. In many cases, businesses are betting on the wrong horse if you take a look at objectively thinking of whether that's the right product or not. They just have a personal attachment to the founder, or they believe in the founder and the founding team, they believe in the leadership team, they're buying into something else that's not necessarily the product qualities. So the ability to build an audience and just enhance it and improve it one way or another may actually help you work with a poor product compared to some of the other competitors in the market and still achieve great results. Number 2 is solving products and not selling features. What we are definitely seeing right now is an evolution in the B2B SaaS space that we've been monitoring over the past couple of years. We see layoffs in B2B SaaS, shrinking teams, smaller marketing departments, firing B2B salespeople because of the transformation and the redefinition of what the offer is, what's the unique value proposition, what's the key selling benefits of that specific product or that specific SaaS organization. So the reason we're seeing that is that consumer behavior is changing, meaning that consumers are now looking into different things, potentially reviewing competitors, and as they're also assessing their own finances, they're willing to make more risky bets in terms of testing potentially other different value propositions, tools, applications, and so forth. So as an addition, instead of selling features, kind of what we're definitely see is a transformation of offers and redefining the solution of problems in that specific case. I'm going to give an example here. So we are using Slack across most of our organizations. However, what we see in Slack right now is that they're still stuck in their old school paying per member for their pro plan, which is $875 per user per month. However, there's so many different cases where this is not applicable. For instance, if you have a local community or a fundraiser, a nonprofit, something else, something that requires you to retain history, but it just doesn't make sense paying so much for that entire broader audience. Or maybe you have a coaching community or some other group, or maybe you're charging $9.99 a month to just retain your business and your audience, and it doesn't make sense paying 85% of that just for subscription for one specific product. So in addition to the current Slack plans that are currently now available, there are 2 different options. Either Salesforce are going to be smart enough to introduce different, more affordable pricing tiers for small businesses, for nonprofits, for foundations, for local communities that are, for example, $250 a month, $700 a month, $1,200 a month, which is going to be a fixed fee unrelated to the number of people, or potentially $2 a month per user per plan, which is something that's far more affordable. Or alternatively, of course, more users are either going to use Slack for free and never going to pay, which is lost opportunities for Salesforce as an organization, or they're going to use Discord or WhatsApp or Telegram or some other tools. So redefining what problem are we solving, what's our ICP, is it actually worth it paying for that, is kind of one of the key tricks here. Another thing that we see here is transformation of other companies such as Instapage. And what Instapage did is one of our businesses was paying about $299 a month for their plan for several years. We started $79 and $199 to $299. It came out of nowhere, but right now, because everything that's happening out there means that companies are cutting budgets and there's kind of transformation, we got downgraded to a $99 per month plan without losing any of our features. So essentially, we're paying a third of the initial cost simply because of procurement, simply because the current space works differently than the VC-funded market a couple of years ago, meaning that SaaS businesses are getting transformed and they're solving actual problems. So they still need to solve the key problem. They still need to provide landing page experience. They still need to be in the market of building experiences, but it's also a more competitive space. There are other alternatives on the market, and there's a large segment of SMBs and SMEs that would be lost unless they kind of transform to something that makes more sense for them. Number 3 is educate, do not pitch. Sixth Sense did a survey early this year, and kind of what they kind of discovered is that the average transaction for a B2B business takes about 12 months. The first 8 months in that transaction is doing due diligence for the business, meaning that business buyers are now doing their research, going to Reddit, to forums, to conferences, to events, asking friends and peers, and shortlisting a number of companies that they like, that they've seen online, that they've kind of followed thought leadership of or something else, before they make a move in the last 4 months of closing a transaction with their top 3 choices. So what we definitely see is that the car salesman techniques are no longer working, and it's not something that you should be pushing on. Therefore, education, kind of moving back to inbound marketing, to content marketing, to thought leadership, all of these are equally important, even not more important, simply because everyone else is trying to sell snake's oil and just building a thoughtful brand, building a connection with the business among the sea of hundreds and hundreds of different vendors selling the same thing is far more important than ever. So that's where education comes in play once again. Number 4 is building trust at scale. So what does that matter? Previously, first off, B2B transactions are actually done between people. That's why they're also called human-to-human connections or human-to-human relationships, because essentially a person is signing a contract with another person, even though both are working in different organizations. So ultimately, what it takes is building a trust between a single member and another member. However, it's not always feasible for executives and CEOs to be building that relationships, especially in organizations where they employ thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, in some cases, such as Amazon, 1.3 million people employed in the business. Meaning that you need to be building trust at scale. And what we see B2B organizations doing is that they also lead their marketing teams. They build content marketing initiatives, webinars, public speaking, LinkedIn content, mass content at scale as an additional plan to be able to build trust at scale. Meaning that if you are potentially interested in a specific product, you may be inclined to do business with a specific individual there. But who's to say that that individual is going to be in the same company in 1, 3, 5, 6, 8 months from now, right? But comparatively, if you build a genuine connection with 5 people from the organization, because all of them are active online, all of them are attending different events, they're hopping on podcasts, and you like them as a combined cohort of different people working for the organization, it's going to be adding more value and introducing more opportunities for you and for the business. Number 5 is leveraging partnerships. Now, partnerships are often misused, and I'm going to refer to my podcast with Flippa's CEO, Blake Hutchison, who attended our B2B Growth Hacking Playbook podcast. And kind of what he also said is that partnerships are failing most of the time. However, they also had a partnership with Sam Rush, doing a tour, kind of event tour going out there. And he reviewed how that worked in that episode, which I'm going to link down there in the bio. But bottom line, partnerships are equally important because they are one of the best ways to tap into an existing audience, a trusted audience that's also already paying for a business, and then do upselling, cross-selling, bundle selling, partnership deals, and just be able to tap into each other's initiatives and kind of opportunities to be able to sell a more competitive value proposition. So even though you may have competitors out there, other businesses selling the same thing, when you form a partnership with 1 or 2 other strategic businesses, then you are essentially crafting a more unique experience, a product, a type of opportunity to work together that's unmatched and other competitors in the market are not doing. That's why strategic partnership marketing is doing so much and is delivering so much value in 2024, and is going to be the same in 2025 as well. Number 6 is using AI to scale personalization. Now, First off, what's personalization? Personalization means that all of your initiatives should be as personalized as it gets. If you have remarketing, it has to be personalized, such as abandoned cart emails. If you have email outreach, it should include information about that specific individual, their company, their role, case studies that you've done for other companies in that industry, in that business size, in that segment, for a similar role, for a similar ICP, and getting as personalized as it gets. Same goes for campaigns. Instead of running 2 or 3 campaigns, try running 20, 30, 50, 100 different campaigns that are going to be personalized. One of the early lessons of Gary Vee that he was preaching even back as 2018, 2019, is he's building a specific campaign and then he's recording a video and he's recording 100 different videos for each of the cities he's targeting. So instead of saying, hey, America, or say, hey, California, he's saying, hey, Los Angeles, hey, San Francisco, hey, San Diego, hey, San Jose. Like each of them is a personalized campaigns localized to that specific area so that he can connect to as many individuals on a personal level as possible. And that's something that you can now do with AI easily, and also incorporate other marketing tools such as, let's say, Clearbit for HubSpot, and be able to also personalize landing pages and improve the experience based on data that you have on the site right now. Number 7 is creating a community. Now, communities are underrated for different reasons. First off, if you think about building a relationship, we now know that the B2B buying cycle is longer. It takes 8 months, 12 months, 18 months. It's just longer. It's not a traditional direct-to-consumer funnel that's essentially one click away from buying from a Facebook campaign. It's not. The buying cycle is taking longer, so the more touch points you have with the user, the more likely it is for them to buy over the course of time. Meaning that the best asset or the best way you can invest your funds is investing in a community or investing in a hub or in a membership group, in something else that you can keep nurturing over and over and over and over again. Back in the day, like over 20 years ago, there was the rule of 7, which later turned the rule of 11, which meant that a customer needs at least 7 to 11 touch points with a business before they make a buying decision and even consider buying from you. This was 20 years ago, and it's coming from 100 years ago from Hollywood back in the day, the first early days of advertising. And now we know for a fact that lots of businesses, especially more competitive industries, they require 40 plus different touch points with a consumer, between a consumer and a business, to be able to make a decision. Meaning that running a single ad or even displaying that specific ad 2, 3, 4, 5 times to a specific consumer is not going to let them even consider buying from you, especially in more competitive industries. Which is why the best bet forward is trying to obtain a user and kind of acquire them one way or another in a first-party data source, which is either email or a Slack community or a phone number, and then nurturing continuously and providing and showing up so that, as John Hall says in his famous book, stay top of mind. This is why communities are so important. Right now, we have HubSpot have a community, Apollo has a community, Buffer has a community, Refine Labs has a community. Most of the progressive businesses in the marketing space, they have communities and they maintain these communities in order to build recurring touch points and relationships with their customers. That's why it's so important. Number 8 is optimizing for mobile. Now, needless to say, mobile is important. However, if you take a look at mobile and say, well, everything is already mobile. We have responsive apps, we have responsive devices, we have kind of mobile apps. Well, that's actually not true. I cannot run my Facebook ads on mobile. The Facebook ads experience is just impossible to run on mobile, and that's true. I can also not run most of my financial reconciliation work on mobile either. If I have connections to BigQuery, I cannot refresh them, I cannot pull data, I cannot copy a bunch of different cells and copy a formula and move it to Slack. There are lots of features and kind of lots of apps that are not mobile friendly yet, and lots of opportunities and lots of activities that you want to be running as a senior expert or as an executive are actually not possible right now on mobile. So being mobile first, both in terms of an app and kind of a web project and even LinkedIn content, is as important as it gets. One of the common trains of thought that kind of left an impact in my mind is whenever you're doing outreach or posting a status, think of a busy executive who only has 10 seconds moving from the supermarket to the car or from the high school to the car or from the office to their car or something, and kind of being busy and distracted and just scrolling and kind of numb scrolling, or going down in the elevator and they only have 10 seconds while they're going, not fully focused like in the subway or with other people, to decide on whether they take a closer look at that tweet or LinkedIn post of yours or not. That's essentially the defining factor. If it's not engaging enough, if it's not interesting enough, if it's not relevant enough, they're just going to skip it. No second thought. It's not even going to be personal feeling. So just think about that all the time. Mobile is first. Mobile experiences, actually being able to help businesses do whatever they want to do on mobile. And number 9 is engaging with your professional network. I'm actually going to do separate videos for that because it's more important than you may actually think. If you think about the cohort of users online, there are 2 main segments of people that are representing nearly 99% of the population of every single social network, like LinkedIn or X or Threads or whatever you're using. YouTube included, by the way. So the major cohort, which is about 80 to 85% of all users, are people who are just browsing. They're not interacting. They may give you a like or not. They're not going to comment. They're not going to reply. They're not going to engage in comments. This is about 85% of the population. And there's another almost 15% of the population that are salespeople and influencers and outreach people, marketers, agency owners, freelancers who are going to blast you and spam you and send you DM outreach and lots of other annoying spam stuff online, trying to capture your attention and trying to take your money. So these are the 2 kind of polarizing differences. The first cohort who's quietly and silently and kind of monitoring such as ghosts, and the second cohort, which is annoying and sleazy, sales spammy people. And then there's that 1%, the segment in the middle, which is there for engagement. And what does engagement mean? It's as simple as hitting reply, as tagging someone, as sharing your opinion. It's adding additional value with kind of your own experience, your own kind of train of thought, tagging other people so that you can help both parties, kind of connect 2 people together, increase the reach, increase the audience, help someone, share something with someone, send another post to a specific individual. That's what's really making a difference. If you take a look at the latest stats, about 92% of all traffic, about 92% of all content on X is generated by only 10% of the people. 92%, about 10%. Meaning that these are people, that also includes newspapers, publishers, automated content, kind of other accounts that are not engaging. So there's only about 1% of people who are genuinely engaging and replying and building thoughtful connections and helping out and building these reps, these 40 touch points in order to increase the engagement metrics for the algorithm. So bottom line, all of these 9 patterns are going to be equally important and are going to determine the success for B2B digital businesses in 2025. So going in a list of order, we have focus on the audience, not the product, solve problems, don't sell features, educate and don't pitch, build trust at scale, leverage partnerships, use AI to scale personalization, create a community, optimize for mobile, and engage with your professional network. If you like the video, please hit like, drop a comment in order to engage with the community, and hit subscribe if you want to see more of this.